I just want to point out to you the inaccuracy, okay, or the error or the contradiction. I showed that to the brother online, and he signed off. He said, "You're an unbeliever," and signed off. I'm not an unbeliever, okay? I'm a scientist. That means I seek knowledge, science, knowledge. Okay, so the biblical text it does possess errors in it and contradictions. Another tenet is inspiration. I just explained to you that inspiration means when God breathed into the original writers what to write, and they wrote. Okay, well, that did not happen either. Okay, and I'm gonna break that down for you shortly. All right, the indestructibility. People say, "Oh, the Bible is indestructible." People have tried to destroy it for years, and it's indestructible. It's indestructible because people choose to believe it. That's why it's indestructible. It's not that it's not that it's indestructible, because we can easily discredit it and show you the contradictions and the errors. But for those who choose to believe it anyway, that's what makes it indestructible in that individual's life. So let's look at this. What about the authorship of the Bible? Think about it, okay? Well, there's this guy named Johann Gutenberg. People want to know who wrote the Bible, right? Well, I can say of a certainty, that this dude named Johann Gutenberg, born in 1395, died in 1498. Okay, don't take my word for it. Look it up for yourself. His last name is spelled Gutenberg. Johann Gutenberg. Johann Gutenberg printed the first Bible. Okay, after 1,000 years of information suppression from 500 AD to 1500 AD. Okay, the truth of our African story was suppressed. Yes, okay, by European powers. And during that 1,000 years, they came up with their fangled version of the biblical text. And after coming out of that 1,000-year period, which we commonly know as the Dark Ages, after coming out of that 1,000-year period, this dude, Johann Gutenberg, I think it was maybe like in 1453, somewhere around there. Okay, he creates the Gutenberg Bible, prints it. Now, don't you understand, or I want you to understand, that what Johann Gutenberg printed in the Gutenberg Bible is the result of what came out of that 1,000-year period of suppressing the truth and creating the lie. You see, that's so important to understand. So every Bible that we read today is an offshoot of the Gutenberg Bible, which was compiled by the fabricators of that 1,000-year period. Okay? And we hold on to that lie. We've been in the season of lies for a long time. Okay, so understand the doctrine of bibliology teaches that the Bible, now this is what we learned. I learned it, and of course, I'm sure many of you might have learned it too. The doctrine of bibliology teaches that the Bible was written, follow this now, hear me, as a part of the process of rescuing the African mind from a European mindset. It's necessary. I have to address the biblical psychosis so that you can get a clear understanding of the theft and plagiarization of ancient African spiritual concepts, brothers and sisters. Okay, I have to address the biblical psychosis. And understand this, and I want you to hear this very well. The reason why holiday celebrations, such as Christmas, such as Easter, the reason why these holiday celebrations came into existence, why they were created in the first place, was to induce a psychological impairment that would result in a perpetual psychopathology, thus rendering those of us who are spiritual by nature impotent in the defense of our own spiritual well-being. Did you get what I just said? You need to understand why Christmas was created. We're coming into the season of lies. Why were these lies fabricated in the first place? And again, I tell you, to induce a psychological impairment. Yes, a mental disorder. A psychological impairment that would result in a perpetual psychopathology, rendering those of us who are spiritual by nature, meaning our black folk, those of us who are spiritual by nature, rendering us impotent in being able to defend our own spiritual well-being. That's why the lie was created. When you believe the lie, you become defenseless, wondering why you don't have power, wondering why your prayers are not being answered like you want them to be, wondering why your life is not where you want it to be, because you've been living and believing the lies that were given to you. Okay, and I'm so glad, brothers and sisters, I'm so glad that we are living in an era now in which people are exercising their God-given right of the freedom to think. Yes. As a result of personal literary research and non-religious based publishing entities and teachers who are committed to the dissemination of historical facts instead of the dissemination of allegorical and mythological indoctrinations as we have been programmed to believe. People today are they're slowly being resurrected and liberated from the comatose state of spiritual and cultural illiteracy. I'm so thankful to the Almighty. I'm so thankful to the ancestors that the day of awakening is here. A lot of people are calling it the age of Aquarius, okay? The age of thought, the age of thinking and critical thinking, instead of the age of Pisces where you're being told what to think. Well, we've come out of the age of Pisces now, y'all. We're in the age of Aquarius. Hear me. To believe in Christmas is a form of mental illness. Now, let me speak to you as a psychologist now, okay? To believe in Christmas is a form of mental illness. To believe in Easter is a form of mental illness. Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. Listen very carefully. To believe in anything or anyone that has no historical or archaeological evidence of their existence or of its existence, to the point, hear me well now, to the point of such a belief affecting your behavior pattern and or your conduct. To believe to that point is a psychological impairment and is therefore, medically speaking, a form of mental illness. Now, there's this manual that we as mind physicians use. It's called the DSM-5. Okay? The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that we as therapists use, okay, to diagnose mental disorders. Got me? Okay. And section 309.4 of the DSM 4 and 5, actually, section 309.4 is called adjustment disorder with mixed disturbance of emotions and conduct. To believe in anything or anyone that has no historical or archaeological evidence of its existence to the point of it affecting you like that is a psychological impairment. And it's a form of mental illness. Now, you might not like what I'm saying because some of y'all out there get very emotional when you're in church and everything, you know. And isn't it deep how most folk do that at church? You don't do that at home when you're by yourself or while you're driving in your car. You do that while you have an audience, okay? Think about that. All right, I'll move on from that. Okay, as a result of this psychological impairment, which was programmed into us by the Euro-Gentile Greco-Roman Catholic Church, is not as dangerous in children because they realize that it doesn't make sense and they outgrow it. But allow me to go a little deeper in this analysis of psychopathological behavior, the belief in a little white virgin-born child wrapped in swaddling clothes, whose birth summons the journey of kings and so-called wise men from the far east who traveled more than 5,000 miles on camelback in a couple of days. To believe that foolishness is a psychopathological sign. Yes, brothers and sisters, we are in the season of lies. And we have to do everything we can, man, to rescue our children. But you know what I run into all the time, brothers and sisters? I run into people who want to. Just talking to a family member not too long ago who was bragging about the tree that they bought. The Christmas tree they bought. Do you get what I'm saying here? It was actually a pine tree. It's not a Christmas tree. You bought for Christmas, but it's a pine tree. There's no such thing as a Christmas tree. It's a pine tree, and you bought it because Christmas is coming. And you're so excited about that, and you want your children to understand that. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you something, family, what I've learned. Hear me very well. And I'm speaking to you again as a psychotherapist. The most powerful psychopathology is the belief in something simply because you want it to exist. It doesn't exist. It's not real. It's a lie, but you want it to exist. See, to understand the season of lies and the subliminal seduction of these doggone holiday celebrations that's not our culture, you must understand that the programmers induce the belief in their lies. Hear me very well. The programmers induce the belief in their lies. Excuse me. Not only did they induce the belief in their lies, they glorified and glamorized their lies in such a way that it would create within us a desire for its existence. It's a lie. It's not real. But they've glamorized it so much with the Christmas lights and the tree, adorning the Christmas tree and the songs at this time of year. They've made it so popular. They've glorified it so much that you literally have a desire for it. December 25th was to be the day of celebrating the birth of their Romanized virgin-born baby Jesus. People of the world rejoiced when the winter solstice arrived on December 22nd because it brought extra daylight, and God's Son, S-U-N, brought light and heat to the world. That's what the winter solstice is all about. Okay? That's what, see, they got to understand around the December, around December 21st, around the third week of December. That's why I started getting darker earlier, okay, as it does every year. And people who were ignorant didn't know any better, all right, they thought that the sun was leaving, and they knew they couldn't exist without the sun, that they would freeze to death, okay? And starting on December 21st, the sun started seemingly would appear to be moving further away, started moving back northward. Okay? Understand how this goes. This is what the winter solstice is all about. And when the sun started moving back northward, Europeans saw that and got happy and began to celebrate the sun being born again, or the birth of the sun on December 25th. Understand this. From December 22nd to December 25th, those 3 days, it was considered that the sun had died. Connect the dots here, brothers and sisters. That's why Christianity teaches that the sun was in the tomb, in the grave, for 3 days and 3 nights. It wasn't the sun. It was the S-U-N, not some S-O-N in a tomb for 3 days and 3 nights. So you got to understand, this is astrotheology we're talking about here. The winter solstice from December 22nd to December 25th. On December 25th, the sun had returned back to its regular place, and the sun had been born. God's son was born on December 25th because that's the winter solstice is all about. Do you get what I'm saying here? All right, it ain't got nothing to do with some Christmas celebration, brothers and sisters. Okay, understand this. We got to free our minds, man. And I'm just talking, and my time is, oh my God, I got to bring this to a close. My time is up. Okay. So let me understand. The Bible doesn't give a specific date for Jesus' birth. Doesn't. No, why? So this dude named Pope Julius I, the vicar of the Roman Catholic Church. And when the word vicar, he was the Pope, but the vicar means the one who stands in the stead of God. Okay, he becomes the voice of God. That's what vicar means. Okay, so he's the voice of the Christ for the Roman Catholic Church. Right? So Jesus don't have to say a thing. As long as the Pope says it, God said it. That's how Catholics think. Okay. And so it was Pope Julius I who chose December 25th as the date of Christmas, or that Jesus was born. In 1514, write this down, please. In 1514, another pope, his name was Pope Leo X. Now check out this. See, the popes knew the truth, and they still know the truth. Okay, because in 1514, Pope Leo X said these words. He said, "What profit hath not that fable of Christ brought us?" Transliterated, that says, look at how much money we have made from this tale, from this fable about this figure that we created called Jesus Christ. Okay? Pope Leo X said that. Yes. Here we see that one of the most powerful popes of the Christian church confesses to the truth, but you don't know the truth because it has been taught to you. That's my job. There's awakening taking place, brothers and sisters. I'm so glad there's an awakening taking place. People are realizing that they've been given a belief system that depends totally on the level of an individual's faith and not on the credibility of sound, factual, historical, and verifiable truth. Understand how this goes. So what does it do to a person? Bear with me as I bring this to a close. What does it do to a person when they find out that communion or the Lord's Supper was not instituted by so-called Jesus, as we've been taught it has, but actually began as a ritual in honor of Ptolemy V, Epiphanes, also known as Eucharistos? Don't take my word for what I'm saying. Write this down. Ptolemy V, Ptolemy, Ptolemy, okay? The Roman number 5 with a V. Ptolemy V, he was known as Epiphanes. His nickname was called Eucharistos, and that's where we get the word Eucharist from when they talk about the communion, right? The Eucharist. All right. This came into existence because some folk wanted to honor him. All right. The Rosetta Stone was created to celebrate the commemoration of the coronation of Ptolemy V, the European king of Egypt, illegitimate pharaoh. This ritual of eating flesh and drinking blood was called the Eucharist, which became the Mass in the Catholic Church and also in the Protestant Church. What does it do to a person when they come to realize that the so-called first man on the planet, who